Well, Augusto,
Oi.
now undefeated 4-0 in the UFC. How does it feel to have that kind of record in the UFC?
Por aí, Augustão, 4-0 no Ultimate. Como é que tá se sentindo com esse recorde agora no Ultimate?
I'm so happy. I'm very happy.
Tonight's fight was a tough fight. I mean, Blagoy is a tough character for sure. How did the fight play out versus your expectations, and were you expecting it to be that difficult?
Foi luto difícil, foi luto cerrado. Tu sabe que o Ivanov é cara duro. Foi tudo que tu esperava a luta ou tu esperava a luta ser pouco mais diferente?
Eu esperava acabar com a luta antes do terceiro round, mas eu sabia que ele era cara duro, que isso podia acontecer, né? E eu estava pronto para isso.
I'm always ready to finish the fight. I want to kill or die, but I knew he was a tough guy, so I was ready to go to the full length of the fight.
There was one criticism. It was the fence grab in the third round. I know you didn't do that on purpose, but it's kind of just reactionary. But do you want to address that? Because there's a lot of people that say that changed the course of the fight.
Estão criticando muito, não sei se nem você se lembra, que você segurou a grade, né, na hora no terceiro round do último takedown. Está sendo criticado, mas você acha que faz alguma diferença no resultado da luta, ter segurado a grade ali, que foi uma coisa involuntária de você?
Foi uma coisa totalmente voluntária, eu não queria fazer isso, mas acredito que não mudaria.
It was something completely subconscious. It was involuntary. I didn't really plan on it. Something I would never done that on purpose. But it wouldn't have changed the result of the fight. I won the fight.
As the scores were being read out, the first score was 30-27 for Blagoy. Were you conscious? Did you understand that or hear it? And what did you think of the score?
Tu entendeu essa parte, né? Quando o primeiro que o juiz falaram do resultado foi de 30-27 pro teu oponente, pro Ivanov. O que você achou quando eles falaram isso?
I hear it very crazy. It's very crazy.
I thought it was crazy.
Fair enough. Well, listen, 4-0 is an impressive record in the UFC, so what do you want next? What's the next move for you?
Tá 4-0 aí com performances maravilhosas, sensacionais. Qual é o seu próximo passo na categoria peso pesado do Ultimate?
Eu quero alguém dentro do top 10 e vamos ver aí quem está disponível.
I would really like someone ranked top 10, and whoever is available, I'm ready to go.
Augusto, right here. Your champion, Stipe Miocic, isn't able to fight anytime soon because he's not able to train, and he's also, of course, a firefighter in Ohio. With this trilogy against Daniel Cormier kind of at a pause, where do you think the division stands right now with the champion so inactive?
Como o Stipe não está lutando agora, né? Ele é lutador, ele está em Ohio trabalhando. E tem essa trilogia também com ele, com Daniel Cormier. Como é que você se vê? Qual é o seu papel? Você vai esperar alguma coisa? Qual é o seu papel na divisão de peso pesado no Ultimate? Qual é o futuro de divisão? Com essa trilogia aí esperando e com o campeão aí esperando sem luta.
Acredito que eu tenho que continuar fazendo o que eu estou fazendo, degrau por degrau, e continuar subindo até eu ter minha oportunidade também.
I really believe I just need to keep doing what I just did, one step at a time, one fight at a time, and my time will come.
Thank you.
Finish?
Acabou.
What's up, gang? No gate, no fans. I want your opinion on something, too. Fight of the night was Elliott and Royval, and performance of the night was Dern and Burns. What'd you guys think was the fight of the night? Did you think the
Warrensillo and Carlisle.
Yeah? Is that what everybody thinks? Yeah. Yeah.
Just want to cut 'em-
We had a hard
cut
time.
another
We had a hard time back there tonight, which is always good when it's a hard time. But I hate seeing some of these kids get. We'll figure it out. I'll give them something.
Very nice. Well, we did have our first UFC event inside the Apex.
Yeah.
Give me your thoughts. The product, the way it looked, how it felt.
It's great. I mean, listen, the building is beautiful on TV. It looks great. We're not in some massive arena with no seats filled. It works. The timing on building this place was absolutely perfect. It couldn't have worked out any better, and I'm sure it's been great for you guys. I mean, this place was built and designed for fights, so hopefully you felt the same way.
A lot was made coming into this week of the small cage. We've talked about this in the past. I mean, was there a conscious decision to use the small cage in here? Could you put the big one in there if you wanted?
Yeah, we could, but it would be massive inside that room. And then, if I take this cage and put it in arenas, it looks tiny in the arena. So, yeah.
It ended up being very entertaining fights, though, and it seems like statistically you get more.
We had great fights in Florida, too.
That's true.
Fights were great in Florida, To say that it's a catch-22. Of course, smaller cage engages guys more or whatever. But listen, if guys come to fight, they come to fight, whether you're in a big octagon or a small one. And it'd be one thing if the fights all sucked in Florida and we're like, well, we got the smaller cage, but that's not the case.
Fair enough. The broadcast tonight did mention events on June 13th and June 20th as well. Is it safe to assume they'll take place here? Is that official yet?
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Talk about Gilbert Burns. I mean, the guy looked absolutely incredibly, dominated a former champion. What did you think of Gilbert Burns' performance tonight?
Yeah, he looked incredible, man. Anywhere the fight goes, you standing, if they wrestle, if it goes to the ground, his jiu-jitsu is ridiculous. Great leg kicks. He hurt him to the leg. Great kicks to the head. I mean, that kid can do anything, and he's aggressive. I actually thought he would fight more aggressively than he did tonight, but you got to be careful with somebody as dangerous as Woodley.
Where do you think he fits in right now? I mean, there's so many names at welterweight right now.
He's in the top 5. I mean, this kid breaks into the top 5. The welterweight division looks incredible now. You got Usman, you got him, you got Colby Covington, you got Edwards and Masvidal, and it's awesome.
Yeah. And last thing for me, I mean, I know you kind of wanted to get through tonight to see what happened, to figure out what to do with welterweight, but can you definitively say what is next for Usman, what the title fight is?
Yeah, so Tuesday we'll get back into the matchmaking room and we'll get that worked out. If you look at the divisions and the way they're heating up right now, and thank God we're 4 fights in right now from after the break, so we're back on schedule. When we're done next weekend, we're back. We're back on schedule, and these things are heating up to make some really fun fights this summer.
Do you know what you want for him, though? I mean, do you know what makes sense as the number 1 contender right now?
Not right now, because what happens is we get in the matchmaking meeting, and I don't know all the intimate details of what's going on with each guy and where their head is. So when we get in and we start working on these fights, the guys will download me and say, well, he's saying this and this guy's saying that. It's not as easy as people think, because we just go in and go, oh, this guy and that guy. It's not that easy. I wish it was that easy.
Dana, at the beginning of the broadcast, you paid tribute to George Floyd. I don't know if you've seen what's going on in the country like right now with all the protests across the country, but what was in the decision to do that?
Yeah, what we did for him and we did for the Nevada State Athletic Commission doctor who just passed away too. He was a great guy, and did a lot of fights and did a lot of the tough fights. Because we should. I mean, what happened was horrible, and it's something that's really affecting this country right now and the world. I mean, there's riots going on everywhere across the world right now. It was the right thing to do.
what do you do with Tyron Woodley now? At his age, that's 2 performances in a row. He hasn't looked the best, hasn't looked like his old self. Is his time at the top coming to an end, do you think?
He'll determine that. I mean, I think that Tyron Woodley worked hard and got in great shape for this fight and took this fight very serious. And, you know, he got dominated tonight. He will drop in the rankings, and we'll see what's next for him and see how he does if he comes back. But, I mean, the guy's 38 years old. He's had huge gaps in his, you know, in his fight time. You know, it's been almost 2 years, I think, since he fought. So that's tougher to do as you get older, even if you're a physical freak like he is.
Welterweight is probably one of your most stacked divisions right now, but it's also one of the divisions that comes with perhaps the hardest negotiations. Right, those guys always seem to be causing issues. When you have someone like Burns show up, does that make it easier for you to say to the other guys, "Hey, if you don't want to take this fight, he'll take it"? Does it help you out?
Yeah, no, it's really not like that. If a guy doesn't want to fight, we don't push guys to fight. If a guy wants to sit out, Woodley's been out almost 2 years. Woodley did that when he was the champ too. You know, it makes it harder when the one thing that we do is you have a year to defend your title, which is a very long time, right? And if you don't, we move on. But most of these guys, listen, if you don't want to fight, you don't have to fight.
And last thing for me, obviously yesterday you spoke about Jon Jones, and then as soon as you finished talking, he basically tweeted out saying that if you want to, he'd like you to show those texts that you supposedly have, and still basically saying that you're not telling the truth about the interaction. Any plans to show those texts?
What do you do? Who do you believe? It's up to you guys.
Fair enough.
Fuck would I lie for? What do I gain in lying about it? Why would I lie? It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? You know, obviously he's fired up right now, and he had a great talk yesterday with Hunter, my lawyer, who's, you know, he's really close to Jon Jones and likes him, and they have a good relationship, and they had a good talk yesterday. But you know, it is what it is. I really don't care. I could care less, to be honest with you. So.
Actually a good talk, a positive talk, not.
Yeah, they had a good talk. They had a good talk yesterday. Those guys are tight. Jon Jones and I have always had this, you know. I'm always looking at what Jon Jones could have been, you know. He could have been the LeBron of the sport. He could have been literally that big. You know, the stuff that he's been through to show up and think he, you know, basically demand $15 million or $20 million or $30 million. It's crazy. So he can do whatever he wants to do. He can sit out. He can fight. He can whatever. You know how this works. You guys know how I am. Jon Jones can say whatever he wants publicly. It's his God-given right here in America. He can say whatever he wants. And when he's ready to come back and fight, he can.
I saw a lot of people saying, like, why can't he make Deontay Wilder money? I mean, like, you said he's the greatest of all time, right? So,
being the greatest of all time doesn't mean you get $30 million. Being able to sell. Jon Jones has done a lot of things to himself. He's saying, in one of his tweets, he was saying that I tarnished you? You've done a very good job of tarnishing you. No, I haven't done that. You know, Hunter told him, I'll walk in, you can come in here and walk through the numbers. I'll walk you through all the numbers. And he says, I don't give a fuck what the numbers are. I want what I want, and that's it. It's not how life works. Why don't you guys fly back and tell your boss, I don't give a fuck what this company makes. This is what I want. You're going to give it to me. See how that fucking works out for you.
Dana right here. There seems to be a lot of surprise that Carlisle and Quarantillo didn't get fight of the night online. So people are asking, like, who makes that decision? So who made that decision not to pick that fight?
Me, Sean, and Mick make that decision.
All right. And then,
we blew it, huh? Is that what you're telling us? You're telling us we blew it tonight? No, that bums me out. That bums me out because, you know, we all felt like, you know, if you looked at at that Tim Elliott fight, and with Royval, it was super technical. I mean, that fight was super technical. You know, they were going back and forth, and I don't know. We felt like that was fight of the night. The other dudes was an absolute straight up dog fight. Absolutely, the Carlisle fight was a straight dog fight. So I'll kick those kids something.
Have you ever seen something like after the first round in the Quarantillo-Carlisle fight where Carlisle had turned around with like 5 seconds left and then Quarantillo...
Never saw that. I've never seen that in the UFC. I've seen it happen in boxing before. The famous one, what's his name, turned around and walked away from Lennox Lewis. Remember that? He just put his hands down, started walking away, and...
He was just walking around the ring.
Yeah, exactly. But he turned his back to him, too. I think, did you guys talk to him tonight? Did he think the bell rang or thought the round was over? I think they clapped the sticks, and he thought that was the end of the round or something and got off him and started walking away. I don't know, but that's what I'm assuming. But yeah, that sucks. I'll take care of those kids.
And then a really impressive performance from Callan Chukagian. She said that she felt it was her best performance. She got to show all the tools that she had. So where do you go with her after coming off, in her words, like Valentina dominated her, and then she puts on the best performance of her life?
Yeah, she looked good tonight, you know. She looked really good. And she came in and she made a statement that, hey, I'm still one of the best in the world. Don't overlook me because of the loss to Shevchenko.
Hey, Dana, now that you've had events in 2 places, you know, can you kind of compare and contrast? Was there anything more difficult about doing it here in Nevada, or was it easier because it's home? What were the differences?
You know, the differences were it was good to be home. It's good to be, you know, here on our own property, and but it was good. Listen, guys, we can do this anywhere. We can go to friggin' Alaska or, you know, the North Pole. I don't care where we go. We can do this anywhere. My team is really, really good. We can do this anywhere.
I know you've said you've been spoken to people from other sports leagues that are looking to restart. What kind of advice have you learned that you've passed on in those conversations?
Well, you know, the people that run these other sports leagues are really smart guys. They know their business better than I know their business. So basically, you know, they have to dive in. It's very time consuming. You have to break down, you know, an event piece by piece and figure out how you would keep people safe in that environment once you you know, put on the event. These guys will figure it out. This really isn't rocket science.
Hey Dana, this is the first event here in Las Vegas since the pandemic, and I'm wondering, what does it mean for you to have live sports back in Las Vegas? And also, the backdrop is some crazy times going on with the pandemic, with the unrest nationally from coast to coast. What does it mean to have live sports back in Las Vegas, but also having live sports back in the country to give something you know, people can kind of put their arms around?
No, it's awesome, and it needs to happen sooner, man. These other leagues got to start moving faster so we can really start to feel normal again. It's amazing when you don't have live sports, you realize how important they really are and how we need them as human beings. It can be done. I'm telling you, the biggest problem isn't COVID-19. COVID-19 isn't the reason all these sports leagues can't go. These guys can figure it out. It's financial. It's financially. This is a massive financial burden on everybody's company. I mean, where you guys work too, if and when you guys go back to work, it's a huge financial burden to do all the things that you need to do to comply with keeping the place safe. And I truly believe that's the real reason that you haven't seen any of the majors come back yet, because they're looking at what it's going to cost them. And again, like I told you before when I spoke to you guys the other day, one guy makes the decision here, me. And you know me, so we're fucking going. These other guys, you got the league, you got different owners with different opinions and different financial situations, and you know, it makes it a lot harder to pull off than something like this.
Dana, on a lighter note, the other day you got in a heated argument with ESPN host Dan Lebitard. It kind of ended where you would agree to a charity match with him. Is there legs to that? Is it gonna
Please let that be true.
MMA, boxing?
Please let that be true.
What would the rules be?
Who knows? Listen, I'll bend the rules for him. I'll give him, he says he's got 80 pounds on me. Not 80 good pounds, okay? There's 80 bad pounds or 80 good pounds. He's got the bad ones. Please let that be true.
Good for charity. Raise the money.
Sure. Any other questions?
As we were going through the process today of getting tested and hanging out in those hotel rooms, I could only think, gosh, this must be so expensive. And how is it even worth it to the UFC? What is the most expensive part of the testing and the protocols? But it still must be worth it to you.
It's so expensive. This whole thing is so expensive. I mean, normally Vegas would be open. We would cut a deal with the casino to get rooms. Now we have to rent out an entire hotel ourselves. I mean, the list just goes on and on. But like I told you guys the other day, the way that I always think and look at stuff like this is I always try to solve the problems. We're going to solve the problems. We're going to figure it out. The show's going to go on. I'm not just going to go home and stay in my house and not figure out my employee. The easy answer to this is I lay off most of my staff, okay? Lay off most of my staff, take all my executives and cut their pay in half. Fighters don't fight. Listen, there's a pandemic going on here. You guys, whenever sports come back, we'll fight. And the list goes on and on. That's not what I do. That's not what I'm paid to do. That's not the way I'm built. It's not the way that I think and look at things. I feel like in the position that I'm in, I have an obligation to a lot of people. 350 employees here in Las Vegas who've worked hard for me for the last 20 years, right? Fighters, when I talk about the fighters, this sport has grown as big and as fast as it has because of nights like tonight. These kids come in and they perform. You know what I mean? I'm getting fucking goosebumps telling you the story. They perform and they put on great fights every time they step in the octagon. I can count in one hand how many times I've left a show and go, God, that whole show sucked. You know what I mean? In 20 years, I can count in one hand how many times. And I just feel like I have an obligation to all these people, and I have an obligation to the fans. So it's just the way I'm wired, and yeah, financially, it's not a great situation, and I guarantee you that's why most of the other sports aren't jumping right in to come back, because it ain't cheap, and it's a lot more work than 3 months ago.
But you're also a financially savvy guy.
Well, thank you.
I was looking, for you to tell me if you agree with that or not.
I've done okay. I've done all right. I think that I've been lucky because if you look at some of these other sports that have been around for 100+ years, they've had the luxury of big television deals, massive sponsors, tons of support from the media, and the list goes on and on. I had none of that starting out. We had to figure out how to make this thing work, how to make this business make money and pay, because what people forget is there are people who invest in this business. There are people that put money into this thing to make this work, especially, during times like this, So the people who take the risk have to get some reward. The fighters got to get paid. My employees got to get paid. The list goes on and on. We figured it out, and that's what we do. We figure these problems out, and I love it. That's really where I thrive. Chaos. I love it. Good? Have a good night, everybody. Thank you.
What's up?
Congratulations on a great performance over a former champion. Obviously, a big win for you, man. Quick evaluation. I mean, how do you feel like you executed tonight, and how are you feeling right now?
I felt great. I just execute everything that we trained, that we planned. I studied so much for this fight. I just hear to my coach, and I think the aspect to be on the empty arena before in Brazil, being cornering Vicente Luque in Jacksonville, I visualized so much. Like, I think at the fight with Damian Maia, I got more nervous. But this one, I was more in the moment. I was a little bit more calm. I know he was danger on the beginning, so in the beginning I was very aware. But, like, nothing surprised me at all. I know it could hurt him. I kind of felt that he could hurt me more. But as the fight was going, I say, oh, okay, he hit hard, but like nothing like I never felt with Gene Luque. He hit super hard, and I just execute everything I trained. I visualized the fight on that way with the finish. I didn't get the finish on the beginning. That is not a bad thing for sure. I want to finish, but I want to show everyone that I can fight 5 rounds with the former champion, take him down and do everything that I did, I feel great right now. For sure, still a lot of things that not being crazy, but a lot of things that need to get better, need to get fixed, the follow-ups, a couple things that Henry just pointed to me. But, yeah, I'm happy with my performance for sure.
Clearly the biggest win of your career, but your emotion afterwards, it looked like you were kind of fighting back tears a little bit. Can you say what was going through your head at that moment?
Yeah, because I sacrificed so much. I need to be in the moment, When I go to the fight, like when I sign a bout agreement, and I have a fight coming up, I make if I translate that, it's gonna be like a stairs of the ghost, or like stairs of the ghost. A lot of things that I need to do to win the fight, and the hardest thing to me is to be honest with myself and do everything that I plan to do. And I plan a lot of things. I gotta stretch every day. I gotta do this session. I gotta do that session. I gotta do this drill. I gotta do that drill. I gotta study. And I do so much on that, and it's hard to do every little thing. But I try to be honest with myself and do everything that I need to be on a crazy zone. And when I step in the octagon, I feel if I do everything that I said I supposed to do and I do it, I get there very comfortable and I get in the zone. So I got in the zone. But it's a lot of emotion to like, wow, I did everything I did. Okay, I'm happy. Now we're going to perform, and I execute. And just like, wow. It's just like, okay, it worked, like it paid off. It's not easy. People don't realize, like, I got my 2 kids, I got my wife. But when I got to a camp, I need to go out a little bit. I need to be with myself. I need to study the fights. And I'm kind of nerdy on that. Doesn't look like, but I study a lot. I break down the things and I make my notes. And there's a lot of work, and people don't realize that. But I think it's been showing off for my performance. And after the fight, I always like, wow. It's kind of like a release, Okay, I execute. Let's go. And then emotions come a little bit.
Can you point to what the key is to your success? Because you've always had talent, but there was a time when your spot on the roster was at risk, right? I mean, there was talk of them releasing you. Yes. And now you're about, maybe having a number 1 contender fight in the very near future, maybe a title fight. What's the key to go from there to here?
It's a lot of things. It's not only one thing, but I remember that spot. Like, I remember I supposed to fight Paul Felder, and I had the surgery on my elbow. I didn't fight Felder, and that was the last fight on my contract. And they gave me Jason Sago, and I know I had to win that fight. But I started doing a lot of things. I changed my conditioning coach. I started doing a mental coach. I started adding a lot. But I think one of the things that helped me a lot was got back to jiu-jitsu. I was just like, that was my roots. I was falling in love with the striking, and I was just doing striking. I was sparring, and sometimes I was taking the guy down. And on the beginning, it was too easy to take the guys down and submit, and then I'm in a comfort zone. I got to go more stand-up. And I started just going stand-up, and I missed the timing with the takedowns, and I missed the timing with jiu-jitsu. And then I kind of realized, okay, that's my roots. I need to come back. And then I started competing a lot of jiu-jitsu, training more. And I think that was the key. As soon as I got back to jiu-jitsu, everything started clicking a little bit. Takedowns were there, the strike was there, and I just kept training, and I think it's kind of like click a little bit, and then took a couple losses. After that, I lost to Dan Hooker. That was another thing that I realized I need to study more. I was get too pumped up to the fight. I rocked the guy a little bit. I was going forward crazy. I want to finish the fight, and then after that fight, I learned that. But I think it's just a process. And after I stopped with the crazy weight cut, I started performing a lot better too. That was the key, I think. One of the keys. It's a lot of things, not one thing that I can point, but we stopped with that craziness. Yeah, I felt a lot better.
Last thing for me, we don't know what's going to happen yet with the title fight, but I mean, you obviously have a very good case for being in there. Have you talked to your team about how that would work? How would it work if you and Usman were to fight? How would the preparation work? How would the coaching work? How would it play out?
I don't know. That's gonna be weird. I don't know, but we're both professionals. I like the guy a lot. I'm not just being no. I like the guy. He motivated me a lot when he became a champion. I saw him zero. He didn't have his pro debut when I met him, and we always like to work together because I have the jiu-jitsu. He had the wrestling. We grapple a lot crazy since the beginning. Yeah, I don't know. It'll be weird, but I want to fight for the title. No, I want to be the champion, and he's the champion. That's the only reason I'll call for this fight. Otherwise, it don't make no sense. But yeah, I want to fight for the title next. I know it might be Masvidal and all that craziness, but I just told Dana on the backstage, hey, I'm available for July. You know, if those guys keep going crazy, I want to fight for the title. If not, if you book another fight for the title, give me who is available. If it's not Colby, give me Leon Edwards. Give me I just want to stay busy.
Gilbert right here. Before your fight at the media day, you said that Kamaru was giving you a lot of good insights before your fight with Tyron. So after spending 25 minutes with Tyron, did anything surprise you in there?
Not really. He's normal. He's just a human being like me, like you. He's just, I think, let's say he has like a couple gifts as an athlete. He's strong. He has more reach than me, but as a fighter, yeah, nothing crazy. But the speed on the hands, power, but nothing special. Like a tough fighter, but nothing. Oh, he hit hard. Yeah, he does. Vicente looking right there. He hits hard, juice. And we sparring before his fight, before my fight. That guy hit super hard, and then I gotta be like, we spar before my fight. We spar before his fight. I gotta keep my hands up, otherwise that guy knocked me out on the warm up. So it's nothing different, you know.
And then on Twitter, for a while you were calling everyone out in multiple weight classes. I even think you offered to fill in at middleweight when you were in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Now at this point in your career, do you have to be a little more selective after this big win?
My manager Ali, he just said that, hey, stop with the craziness right now. But the thing was, in Jacksonville, as soon as Jacare got the COVID-19, I would say, wow, they might cancel everything. You know, I might not fight Tyron Woodley. I might fight this guy tomorrow. I better get that fight anyways. Then wait and everything get canceled. And I call Sean. He said, "You crazy? You're gonna fight Woodley?" And then I say, "I'm just, you know, the fight's still up. Yes, the fight's gonna. Okay, no problem. You know." And then, but he got crazy. He said, "No, I think I need to be a little bit more selective right now for sure." But I think all my improvement, all my evolution on the sport is just because I'm competing. I'm getting better. I'm fighting, and I'm not afraid to fight. I want to fight. For sure, I want to fight for the title next, but if it's not happening, don't think I'm going to hold on that position. I'm going to fight another guy, you know.
And one final one, you fought in Brazil, and then you cornered Vicente in Jacksonville, but those were in arenas. This was in a smaller venue with a smaller octagon. So did it feel a lot different fighting in the Apex?
Not really. In Brazil was crazy. First experience, empty arena in Brazil was like, I got nervous on the beginning. I was like, wow, okay, I'm fighting. But then I went to Vicente, and was the same feeling. And then I started visualizing a little bit. And then I got to the Apex, and I got here on Thursday to do the media, to do the pre-fight interview. And then I like, hey, let me take a look right here. Let me see what's gonna be the. And then I kind of took that look. Thursday I did my visualization. I kind of go aware with the place. Friday again, today again, and I felt great today, to be honest. I wasn't nervous. I was in the gray zone going to the fight.
It sounds like you have a process that you go through to get your mind in fight ready. Was this any different as you went through your process right there?
No, same process, a lot of work. Even, I think that one was a little better because I had more time. But on those short notices, a lot of work. People have no idea. Like for the 2 weeks notice that I got to fight with Gunnar Nelson and Alexei Kunchenko, I got to go through all that process in 2 weeks. It's harder, but I think I've been getting a lot of confidence after those fights, and I have time to this fight to approach all, I know where mentally I gotta be on the fight physically, and especially when they changed the date for the 23rd, for the 30th, that extra week was amazing. Was when I click everything, I put everything together, and I'm like, okay, we're going to that fight, and everything clicks on a perfect time.
You mentioned it was really strange to fight without an audience in Brazil. Is it tougher to get up to go, I'm in a fight without the audience for you?
In Brazil, it was hard to make that okay, we're fighting, It was, but like I said, going to the Vicente Luque fight, I get a little more aware of that. And facing Tyron Woodley, he's dangerous in the beginning. I had to do these adjust, or being nervous on the beginning and be aware in the beginning, because Damian wasn't that threat for me on the beginning, because he's more as a grappler. I'm a grappler too, and I could get a little nervous and a little get things up as the fight was going. But Woodley is danger, I gotta be aware since the fight started, and I think I realized that, and I adjust that and I execute.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Yeah? Nobody? Thank you guys. Have a good one.